Hi, I'm Kari Feuer, head of Red Hook Community Arts Network, and we have taken up residence in St. Margaret's Home for Girls, a historic building in Red Hook owned by the town that's on lend to us this summer for arts activities. So what we're going to do right now is take a look at the art that's installed here. This is a curated show called Lost Found. Deals with different kinds of issues revolving around those two words. The first thing that comes in mind relating to St. Margaret's is that this building was sort of lost to the community for many years because of its deteriorating nature and wasn't occupied, wasn't taken care of. Now that the town owns it and has been rehabbing it to some degree, we're starting to find it and we want to find uses for it. So the other issue pertaining to Lost Found might be that this was an orphan asylum in the 18 and 1900s. So these were girls that were perceived to be lost or in danger of being lost in the community, and they were rescued, brought here, housed and educated by Margaret Astor, who built this building in 1853. Other things that might come up with this theme are the artist's own process of losing and finding, during the course of the work, the endangerment of our natural landscape that we have all around us, and human issues of vulnerability in unstable times. So we've kind of just tried to use that as a loose theme, and every artist has been addressing it the way they like to do best. Shall I travel around and introduce some of the art to you? We can start. We could start here. This is Annette Jarrett, and what I love about her addressing this theme is that it appears to be trees in a forest, but they sort of come forward and go back, and they're lost and found right within the picture. Her process is collage. This is all little individual pieces of paper glued onto the support, and then encaustic over the top of that. I also, in my work over here,
could you tell me her name again, please?
Annette Jarrett.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Over here is also a collage process with acrylic on panel and collaged bits of food wrap, old maps, old bird prints in these pictures. There's all different kinds of things combined with a sort of mappy way of painting. So it's a sort of like an aerial landscape that you're seeing from way up high. And this is my work, and what's behind it is my concern for the environment and the way we have all these overlays of crud on top of our environment. Behind you is Sean Bowen's work.
But wait, I'm capturing your...
Oh, okay.
This is your work.
Yeah, let me not rush you.
You know I'm a fan, Karen.
Thank you.
So,
all of these, yeah. Oh, and this little guy here is also my work that I sort of put in at the last minute. I was kind of having this feeling about these girls at St. Margaret's, about how they were sort of kind of fit into this mold of being housekeepers. They were really groomed to be either housekeepers and go into service as servants, or to marry somebody and keep house. So the title of this is That All There Is? And it's all about how you're born and you are pigeonholed to do sewing and cooking.
Now, behind me
is work by Sean Bowen. These are acrylics on panel. He does wonderful graphic representations of celebrities. This is Muhammad Ali, and what he said about that was that he lost his speech, but he never lost heart. This, of course, is Andy Warhol over here, who had more than his 15 minutes of fame.
Fabulous work. Can you tell me what other celebrities Sean Bowen has captured?
Oh, let's see, I remember Bob Dylan, some rock and roll stars that I'm not very familiar with because I don't pay attention to that kind of music very much. But they're all in our gallery. He is a member of the Red Hook RHCAN Artist Collective, as am I. Our gallery is in the center of the village of Red Hook, right next to Village Pizza and the old CVS store. So it's open every Saturday afternoon, plus whenever you could catch us working there.
And you have a multitude of artists.
That's right.
exhibiting at
Yeah,
that place,
yeah.
right?
You have several artists who exhibit all the time. The work always changes, and you should look for our openings because it's come and have a glass of wine and something to eat. About every 6 weeks or so, we do an opening and change out all the work.
Super. Let's proceed.
Okay, this room is very typical of the downstairs of St. Margaret's. Mantelpiece that probably held a coal stove at one point. These really wonderful tall windows that open out onto the porch. And there are 4 of these rooms. It's kind of a very symmetrical house. So we can walk right through to the next room. This striking piece is by Liz O'Neill Avis, and it's called The Martyrdom of St. Susan. So it's a very imaginative piece, and she's also addressing historic feminine issues revolving around domestic responsibilities. Her work is also here in a very small piece that's called Red Hook Cartoons, I think. Red Hook Triptych is what it's called. This abstract piece and the one on the other wall are by Allie Bell. And she said that they recall a time in her own personal development where she said that she felt very lost, and so she's searching for clarity. Now over here, Trevor Hunter does a lot of representational work, but also a lot of abstract work. And these are all abstract. They're on this wall and this wall. And he's really exploring process in this work. So that's just kind of like he's getting paint done and he's looking to see what it does and where it goes and how he can structure the painting after that. These are all sort of reflecting memories of things past, he said.
Hold on, give me a chance to capture this here. I love his work.
Yeah, I do too. The paint is so luminous.
And this one over here?
This one and these 3 are by Michelle Williams. And these are just exploring her emotional voice. Losing it, gaining it.
All of these artists are members of Red Hook Community Arts Network?
No, we just issued an open call for this. And so it's kind of whoever wanted to submit something. And we took it in and rearranged it, trying to make it coherent. So it's a lot of different things.
Great.
We'll move to the next room now. These are some beautiful photographs of local scenery by Patricia Cadley, reflecting timeless discovery and rediscovery through generations of the natural beauty in our area. They're almost without color, but really graphic and beautiful, I think.
Her name again is?
Patricia Cadley. Richard Wambach does pen and ink sketches of local landmarks. So these show a lot of landmarks that people would recognize. The Elmendorf, the Poets Walk gazebo, and the library. They're very precise. And some of them are, you know, possibly could have disappeared or might be on the verge of disappearing, you know, from our local landscape, but he's captured them here. This work is by Marcia Slatkin, and what she does is takes her own photographs of local landmarks and scenery, cuts them up, reassembles them into these kind of weird images where everything seems to be falling apart or circling in a tornado or something. So they sort of tell you where she was, but they aren't exactly quite right. They're really interesting. Over here we have work by Karen Sergio. These are all paintings in oil of the same barn over in Stanfordville that she watched as they were dismantling it. She loved the barn and they were taking it apart, tearing it down. So just before they started doing that, she was painting it, and then these particular paintings on the pieces of wood, that's on wood from the barn. So they're all oil paintings of this barn over in Stanfordville that disappeared. It's now lost to us. This work is by Rowan Willigan. It's abstract on paper, and she's just kind of letting it flow where it flows, I think. This work is by Doreen Perrine. She says these paintings reflect the lost and found nature of domestic, interior, and often silent spaces of women in days gone by. And they really remind me of 19th century French painting. This one is the sewing room, and this one is the Victorians. Over here, these 4 nudes are by Roz Tobias. She says that the feelings expressed in these paintings are vulnerability, patience, and strength of human spirit. And I like the way that they almost seem like they're vaporizing. They're so washy and faint, but still solid. Yeah. Mary Bellevaux's paintings are representing timeless themes in art, from global exile and homelessness to local farms providing shelter and sustenance. This painting is by Lisa Clement. Represents a period in her youth, she says, where she was temporarily homeless and felt forgotten in the world. And next to it is another kind of portrait done by a Bard student, Elena Botts. She says there's a terrible yearning to portraiture, an inescapable acknowledgement of love lost, the knowledge of and greatest appreciation for the uncapturable soul. And these landscapes are kind of a favorite of mine. These were done on some canvases that were left to Sandra Nystrom. She's another one of the collective artists for RHCAN. And she then did this sort of veiling stencil effect over the top of the landscape, so it feels like you're looking through a curtain or something, and it's very lost and found and in and out. She says that this group of work is based on loss of place called home, but also on the endurance of memory and friendship. And this was a good friend of hers who moved away. And out in the hallway we have an interesting piece of sculpture. The artist here is Fletcher Coddington, and he says, children ripped from their mothers, families, and homes to be conscripted as soldiers and developed into war tools represent the end of innocence for entire cultures, and the planet that allows this aberrant behavior is the inspiration for this sculpture. It's called Child Mercenary. There's a lot of found objects in here, old chains and gears and stuff. And over on this wall, these posters are compilations by Robert Lipgar of a lot of the photos that he has taken and published in book form. He goes around the country and does a lot of sort of Americana kind of work. These are barns, these are road signs, and there's just a tremendous variety here. It's really interesting.
And outside?
And outside, we should go out on the porch. This is the beautiful porch on the front of St. Margaret's, and the statuary is by Carl Greco, Hyde Park artist, who works in synthetic cement over an armature. So these are very abstract, but they sort of suggest, you know, various titles to him. RHCAN was offered the use of St. Margaret's this summer for doing various arts things, because we don't have very good performing arts space or really big gallery space. So we took them up on that, and it's been a wonderful place to just get people in and look at it. And in doing that, what we want to happen is for the people in Red Hook to see what a great resource this is, think about what future use it might have, whether it's for the arts or some other thing. It doesn't have to be for the arts, but it's just, you know, it's a wonderful community resource, and we should be starting to think about what to do with it.